there is absolutely a space for awards, full stop. It's been amazing for the team. However, I'm seeing awards pop up everywhere. I do wonder, are the best in industry or the best person in that category receiving the award?
Your data should be the evidence of the work you're doing. You name it, they've got placards and you walk into their offices and there's the badges and logos everywhere. But people are still facing harassment and discrimination.
Yeah.
People are still at the same level for 10 years with no progression.
And okay, if I'm not going to get the recognition here, or I haven't had that, or I've not seen my peers getting the recognition, I'm going to make sure that I'm building a space so me and my community do have the recognition and the amazing exposure and celebration that is deserved for the talent and skill.
Today's topic is not another award. What's the point of awards?
Okay, so not another award. What's the point of awards? Controversial one. Potentially.
I
Depending on what we say.
I think it's definitely controversial. I think it's a bit of a leading question, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the point of awards?
Yeah.
What's the point of awards?
All right. Okay. I thought you were going to do that. I think there is absolutely a space for awards, full stop. I know as a business, we've definitely benefited from, going forward for awards or being shortlisted for awards, winning multiple awards. It's been amazing for the team. It's been really great kudos for the business and confidence. I saw the confidence in team members as well.
Yeah.
We went at 1 year, we won 3 awards in a row now, big industry awards. Like, that was crazy. We're like the smallest probably business there, or one of the smallest businesses there. And we're going up to the stage again. And it attracted somebody to come into our business after, because she said, I was on the table next to you guys, part of a much bigger business, and thought, I want to be part of their team. Amazing, like, beautiful compliment. However, I'm seeing awards pop up everywhere, and I do wonder if are the best in industry or the best person in that category, are they actually receiving the award, or is it that there's a lot of awards and therefore a lot of people being nominated? Is there a credibility there for certain potential awards? I'm not sure.
It's a really difficult
I'm not sure.
one.
What are your initial thoughts?
So I agree with your opening statement in terms of, like, there's definitely a space for awards.
Yeah.
Like, recognition is important.
Yeah.
And also this dynamic between recognising people versus recognising organisations. I probably think it's less important to recognise organisations, because I think organisations should be able to stand on their own. Like, they're big enough, grown enough, ugly enough to be like, all right, we made a profit, we're sustainable, we're doing whatever we need to do for our stakeholder community. That should be the reward. I think it's slightly disingenuous to be thirsty for external rewards, recognition, gratification.
Even when it's big, these are big, some big industry awards. Do you think that there?
Yeah.
Do you reckon?
Yes, to some extent. But also I wanted to kind of dig into the question and be a little bit more specific, because I think specifically where my mind goes to is that diversity and inclusion awards.
Me too. It did go straight there. Yeah.
And I think that's a different dynamic where it's like, actually, one of the things that we've always said as a data-driven diversity and inclusion consultancy is that your data should be the evidence of the work you're doing. So for me, I've worked for several organisations that have had all kinds of awards, from Times 100 Best Companies to work for, Investors in People, Best Company.
Yeah.
You name it, they've got placards and you walk into their offices and there's the badges and logos everywhere. But people are still facing harassment and discrimination.
Yeah.
People are still at the same level for 10 years with no progression. It's like, okay, how do you marry the two? How do you make sense of this dynamic where you're winning awards, but and I'm not just saying like 1 or 2 people are disgruntled, but there's teams that are disgruntled, and there's people exiting under very ominous circumstances day in, day out. So it's like, what is the evidence of the robustness of that award? And again, I've kind of seen behind the curtain to some extent to say a lot of these awards are run off the back of, give us some money, we'll go through
I was gonna say,
a couple of
yes.
tick box exercises with you,
Yeah.
and we'll hand you the shiny badge that you can put on your shelf and
Yeah.
tell everyone that you're one of the top 100 companies in the UK. And it's like, it doesn't feel very robust.
And I think that we've been, firstly, I am a big advocate of awards. So I do love awards. I've seen the impact it's made. There is a need there, right? I do want to say that. Me and you have both been judges for multiple awards.
Yeah.
So we've got lots and award recipients,
Yeah.
right? So there's lots of different perspectives going on here. And I much agree with the robustness. Sometimes I think, and you see some of the judges turn up and they have done days of work and notes, this, that, and you're like, wow, and they're taking it extremely seriously. And the process is very serious. You know, there's different people at different points. I've also been involved in other awards where that is just not the case at all. It's like a 10-minute read. Doesn't mean that the outcome's not still the right outcome, but it's interesting the disparity between the two. And I think I've had more of a, probably only recently, maybe out of naivety previously, understanding that, you know, awards is a whole business in itself.
100%.
I don't think I realised that.
It's an industry. It's not even
industry.
And again, I think there's this, I would term it as like the awards industry complex, where it's like,
Tell us more.
we're just churning out these awards as a means, not necessarily to recognise people, but to make money. And it's like, you know, you do have you had these, I'll get literally hundreds of them, but these random emails from random organisations that say, congratulations.
You've won. You just need to pay us $3,500. Yes. And now next week it's $1,200. You can feature on the cover magazine. And I'm like, this doesn't feel like a genuine.
Like, okay, so what did I do to deserve it? So why now do I have to pay? And it's funny. It's really funny as well, because we got one in like our first 6 months of being a business. But I was like,
sorry, were you
on
involved?
the basis of what? Like, what? This makes no sense. And even more damagingly, I remember having this conversation with somebody that she was like really proud that she'd been awarded this.
Yeah.
This
I've
accolade.
seen the impact on individuals.
No, that's not where I was going.
Okay.
So I said she was really proud of this, and I was like, okay, that's amazing, well done. She's like, yeah, I just need to find $5,000
Oh no!
to pay these guys. And I was like, that doesn't
absolutely
feel.
no.
That doesn't feel.
It's not
good.
it's disingenuous.
And also, like, you're now struggling and probably putting your actual business in jeopardy because you feel you've got to pay.
I'm going to tell you a story
award.
on this, right, really quickly. Well, the business was doing well. I'd come off The Apprentice. We've got our investment. It's all exciting. Lord Sugar's on the end of the phone. All of that. I had this person phone me. I've forgotten about the emails. Mac, when I say she did the best sales pitch I've ever. I mean, I'm a commercially minded person, right? Our team, we're commercial people. The best sales pitch I've ever heard in my life. If you phoned me, please phone me back. We will hire you. Like, she was that good. I thought I was going to the Royal Palace by the end. No, I'm not joking. I thought I was going to Buckingham Palace by the end of this conversation, because I was going to be featured. I'm not even going to say it, but I was going to be featured in all these different things. And I was like, oh my gosh, it got to the end of this sales pitch. One of my colleagues was in tears because she takes it all very seriously in terms of the monarchy. Me less so, but I thought, well, this is just an amazing recognition. And then she started talking about the payments. I can't tell you how quickly I was humbled in that moment. And I want to say, I'm not taking away from anyone that pays for things. It's not that, because let's be honest, when we go to award shows, we might not be paying to get nominated or the award, but we're paying for tables.
100%.
So is it that much different? I don't know. So I'm not taking away from that. But it's just that I didn't realise until having the business that this was all happening
100%.
on that basis, so it has been really eye-opening.
And then I guess, again, like, the skeptic in me says, like, what purpose do these awards serve?
Yeah.
Is it about recognising the best in class, the best in industry, recognising from a diversity and inclusion perspective some really great initiatives are pivotal? And, as you said, I've been a judge on many different awards, and there have been times where I've been really humbled and really, really inspired by some of the stuff that I've seen, the initiatives, the innovation. However, I would say that it's often the exception and not the rule, where I will read maybe 50 and I'll be inspired by 2 or 3.
A couple, yeah.
And the rest of it is like either AI generated or it's just...
Or a popularity contest sometimes with some of the voting ones as
absolutely.
well, you know.
And that really calls into question, like, what is the credibility with which we rate these awards? As a judge, I know that when we judge categories, someone has to win that category. And sometimes it's the best of a bad bunch. So it's like, for you as a business to...
I'm not saying that, by the way. This is Max saying that.
I mean, it's the truth.
True.
And
it's only the shortlist that has been given, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's like, is the award testament to you being exceptional, or is it testament to you were in a category where everyone was rubbish and you were just the least rubbish?
Or you've gone forwards for loads and loads and loads of awards, because then it's, you know, and there's time that goes into this, right? You know, someone's writing all of this up for you, or you're doing it and going through this process. And there's some that I've seen recently, and it's a little bit uncomfortable with me. You know, I'm a mum of 2 daughters, and it was like a parent award, some kind of a parent in business, parent of the year, something like that. And I just thought, I think it might have been had a father and a mother of the year one, something like that. And I just thought that's really interesting, because behind closed doors, we've no idea what kind of father or mother or parent you are, right? And secondly, you also don't have any idea of, actually, I might talk externally about this, my whole life revolves around my daughters, but I just might not choose to communicate that all of the time. They're a little bit more private. That's fine. I respect that, because I respect them. And I haven't gone forwards for any of these awards, by the way. But I just thought, how do we give an award? That just felt like, and I'm here to applaud parents, I want to be clear about that, so please don't come for me. But it's very interesting. How do we really quantify that? Really? Do we ask the children? So it just sort of...
And the same goes for
many
these
different things.
employer awards as well. So if you're winning an award for diversity and inclusion, what does that mean? What is it that we're celebrating? Are we celebrating a specific initiative? Are we celebrating the progress that you've made year on year? Are we celebrating the numbers and statistics? Are we looking at representation? What is it that we're actually quantifying and qualifying? And I guess I also have this perspective in relation to the many awards that there are. So it's like with entertainment, you've got the Grammys, the Golden Globes, the Emmys, etc. I think in business it becomes a bit worse in that we've got hundreds and thousands of awards, and everybody is an award winner. Everyone's a multi award winning organisation. So okay, what does it mean? And I guess we are multi award winning.
I just want to say that.
Come on, pick yourself up.
But yet we say it all the time. Isn't it funny? Because I'm like, well, multi award winning, and I'm so proud of that. I can't take away from the pride, because I think of the awards it was, and I knew what the competition really was in our industry. If it was the tiny awards, I'd feel differently, but it was not, and it hasn't been. But there is a pride there. I'd be lying to say there wasn't.
It adds to who you are, what you are as a business?
Yeah. I feel like it depends on the awards you're going for, right? So if you are going for an awards that is maybe very tiny, very unknown, or, there's other businesses that maybe aren't in any way you would see as a competition, I think that's where the credibility can be really, really lost. But I think if it is your top industry award, which ours are, or that we have been nominated for before, I have to say the pride that I saw with my team, the way, I think when, you're building a business, and we're a smaller business, that's growing, and you're building a business, to then that industry to say that we are the best in field for what we're doing, and the best in inclusion, and the best in client service, was massive, actually. I've got to be honest, for me and my team, multiple years, and we haven't gone forwards for any awards in the last couple of years purposely, because then you get to a point where you're like, well, we've won so many, not saying like that, we've won a lot of awards. What are we multi award winning? Like, what are we, do we keep going for these awards then? Well, what have we sort of displayed that we've kind of done that, and now we're focusing on some other stuff?
It's a good question. And I think, again, it's like, what is it that's being awarded here? Is it a point in time?
Yeah.
Is it
your
a
current
journey?
competition at the time?
Absolutely, and I think it's a really important question to ask in terms of what does this do for us? What does it enable us to do?
But I will say this, on the other end of it, not only have I seen my business and team being really positively impacted, and the kudos on the back of it. I had clients for months and months still congratulating us. You know, there's no way that about it. That has definitely done something great for our business. They did, you know. The impact that I've seen on individuals on the other end when you're judging awards or they're receiving awards, and they are emotional, and it's meant everything. Their families there, their partners are there. It's life-changing for some people, genuinely. Is massive, and that kind of speaks to my heart, especially when we're talking about communities potentially or demographics that aren't always celebrated openly in every single workplace, or there's a smaller proportion of. So then there is this balance in my mind that I see that, you know, there is a great space of celebration here that is needed as well. It's just that there's so many, sometimes it feels like a bit of a minefield.
It is, and it's a case of like how do you choose where to invest your time? How do you choose what awards are beneficial to what you're doing, what you need? And I think for me it's a difficult one, and I think you've kind of changed my mind slightly there with what you're saying around the impact on people, because that
on people is
major. Real
people crying, people
absolutely.
you know, it's big,
and
it's
also
big.
like their families seeing them in a different light. And
you know, if you were at an awards and you saw your wife and she won the award, and you're in a room of 200, 300, 400 people, that is a moment that you don't forget for your lifetime.
Absolutely.
You know,
and I think also as leaders, you know how much work we put into this that goes unseen, goes unrecognised, and it is, I guess, nice to have that opportunity to invite people into that journey, to invite people into that kind of story. The issue or the challenge that I have with it to some extent is part of it is the judging process, and there's been some awards that I've been a part of that have really gone the extra mile and been innovative in terms of how they are collecting those stories and those evidence bases, you know, video submissions and interviews and just all of these different ways that you can really kick the tires and check that people are doing what they say they've done.
They say they're doing.
However, there's some that are still very rigid in terms of, in 500 words, describe what you've done to X, Y, and Z. And it's like, okay, is it the impact that we're measuring, or is it your ability to talk about what you've done and
to tell a fantastic story, or to market yourself really well.
And some organisations have teams that write bids and write all of this nice fluffy stuff that will tick all of the boxes from a descriptive perspective, and I don't think there's enough scrutiny in terms of actually, have you actually done that, or is the impact as you've described it, or is it completely different?
Well, okay, again, might be controversial, but you know, we like a bit of controversy. What about the people that are setting up awards? Yeah, because
you're going to get me cancelled.
I'm probably already cancelled. Me and you could go and set up an awards, right? Would you agree? I'd say we've got the networks to do that.
Let's do it.
I'd say we've got the Mac and Scarlet Awards. No, but I'd say we've got the networks to do. We'd be able to get the kind of backing clients. I really think we could sponsors and so forth, right? We haven't decided to do that.
Coming soon.
Yeah, coming soon. But, you know, that's the reality. And I'm not talking about anyone individual, obviously, but there isn't, as far as I know anyway, there isn't any kind of premise or any sort of around who's setting up awards, what maybe individuals or teams, doesn't have to be one individual, teams stand for, or how they're going about this from an ethical perspective. Unless I'm missing something, can anyone just start an awards? Pretty much. And again, you've seen the experience, the emails, you've had the experience of the sales calls, and I think it can be quite problematic. Am I cancelled because I'm nervous? I think you are. You're about to be. When we move on to the naming and shaming section, you can put forward your case to be cancelled then. But yeah, I think there's definitely something in that, in terms of it is
it is a business,
It is a
Running awards
business.
is a business, and anyone can get into it. What I think,
which is not a bad thing as well, by the way.
it's
We
not
want things to be accessible, but that was eye-opening for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh wow, okay, you can sort of start on awards.
And it's interesting as well, because when we talked before about like the Emmys and the Grammys and the Oscars and all of these things, I think for me the credence and credibility comes from longevity and understanding the impact of the award. So when you see or hear Grammy Award winner or Grammy Award nominated, you kind of know what type of person that is. And I think the difficulty with starting awards from fresh is that you don't have that historic context to say this is what happens to people that win these kind of awards, or this is the level of status that comes with winning this award. And the test, I think that the proof of the pudding will be in the time. And I think actually what I've seen in the last 5 or 6 years worries me slightly in terms of actually people setting up awards and not necessarily understanding what it takes to have longevity in the space and what it takes to go on for 20, 30, 40 years of putting on really well executed, really well designed, really rigorous, because
process. It's a rigorous process.
Absolutely, and I think it's one of the questions.
And attracting the amazing nominations,
Absolutely. It's always one of the things that I question in terms of if I'm being asked to be a judge, what is it that I'm coming into? Like, what does the scrutiny process look like? What does the judging process look like? What's the criteria for awarding people, and how do we do due diligence? Can't even say the word. Diligence to
and on the judges, right? Because
both the judges and
the judges
nominees,
as well. Because we've been asked to be a judge because there might be a social presence that we might be able to capture for the awards, which makes business sense. Let's be honest. Or there's respect from different nominations and things like that, which is amazing. Does that mean that you're going to be a fair judge or I'm going to be a fair judge? And I'd hope to think we absolutely are, but it is a consideration, And I don't know. We touched on it. We've seen a lot of awards come up with both, within kind of an ED&I and inclusivity space. Is this a reflection of people building their own tables, as it were, but in an award space, of saying, okay, if I'm not going to get the recognition here, or I haven't had that, or I've not seen my peers getting the recognition, I'm going to make sure that I'm building a space so me and my community, for example, do have the recognition and the amazing exposure and celebration that is deserved for the talent and skill.
I think that's definitely something I've seen over the last couple of years. I think that is absolutely admirable.
Yeah.
The question I have as like a natural skeptic is, what does longevity look like? So it's like, if you're talking about a really small community, do we end up in a position where 10 years from now, everyone that could be eligible for the award has already received an award over the last 10 years, and then we either have to lower the bar or we have to change the award? And it just becomes a case of like, are we aware of the pipeline? Are we aware of everything that goes into it? And also there's a really tricky dynamic to say, not everybody that you deem worthy of an award wants an award, and that's a really different dynamic.
Nominations.
I've had it as well, where people have asked to nominate me, and I've been like, please don't.
Or they've still got up and they're like, I don't want to be. And then sometimes you're judging that, and they've not necessarily won. You're like, it becomes quite awkward. It's awkward. Do I discount that nomination and go with the others, or are they in the nomination? I'm not sure. You seek advice, and but
Absolutely,
still.
Yeah, and it is I think it's a really important tension to say, you may perceive that there's a lack of recognition in certain communities or for certain groups. However, we or you have to make that decision in terms of what do we deem worthy of recognition. And I guess as a parent to young kids, I don't want to end up in this world where it becomes like a participation award. I think that can be equally as damaging. I've seen people that are super early in their journey being recognised, being rewarded, and it becomes a bit of a curse. That they kind of walk around, puff out their chest and be like, right, I've arrived, I've made it after 2 years, and it sends this message that, these things are easy to come by. And
it's like when you might play at a certain level, or I used to do swimming, right? So you swim at the local swimming baths, and then you join a swimming club, and then you play with you swim with Youth England or whatever. there's levels
Absolutely.
to this, isn't there? And I think that's why it's like, okay, is this recognition relative really to which awards or what we're going forwards with? What do you think about awards that are more ED&I focused?
I get asked this quite a lot, actually.
Oh, do you? Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, Matt. Oh gosh.
No, I think it's a really important question.
It's interesting. I've debated it myself.
We have a lot of clients that are keen to enter awards and keen to get some recognition, and I always question them in terms of like what drives this desire to be rewarded. Is it a case of you think you've done some really great work, really innovative work, you're keen for your people to be recognised for the effort that they've put in, or is it that you want to silence some critics? So there's often this tension where people can see awards as a means to justify, we don't need to worry about that anymore.
I was just thinking
and we saw it a lot with like Stonewall accreditations, and again Times 100 best companies, and
we are that, even if we're not that.
Like, there's loads of like stuff that we're just hiding.
Yeah.
But look at this shiny award. Yeah, look at this award.
Yeah.
What do you mean it's not a great place to work for black people? We won the Black Whatever Award.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's a really difficult tension to have. And again, as a business, we always advise people to say, let your data talk for you. And when we talk about data, it's not just the numbers, but also the stories. So if you've got an executive team where you've got an equal balance of men and women, male and female, and you know, different dynamics, different intersections, and people can tell stories about, I came into this company 10 years ago and loved it so much and have progressed, and my capabilities have increased dramatically, and I'm offered opportunities on a regular basis. Those to me are way more powerful than any badge or award. And I say that to say I've worked for a lot of companies that have had the badges and awards. They haven't had the representation that I would like to see at senior leadership level. And then when I've gone in there and I've talked to some of those leaders that have been around that look a little bit like me, I always get this weird feeling where it's like, you don't seem happy. And that, to me, those interpersonal interactions speak volumes for the type of organisation that this is. And I cannot be fooled by this badge. So a badge or a placard or an award is never going to convince me that this is a great place to work for me. I want to go in and have those conversations. I want to challenge people that have been here for a while to say, what's the culture like? You've
just given me a complete scenario in my mind. Actually, it's really close to home, of someone that I know but received two or three awards around like an ERG group, and then the next week effectively left the business, and there was a grievance over really how that person had been treated. And I just thought, gosh, that's so interesting, because actually externally the business looks like it's doing X, Y, and Z, and is rewarding X, Y, and Z, but actually internally it's a whole different scenario that's actually going on. Absolutely. So it's very interesting. So it's don't always maybe believe what you see, I think is a truth here. I think from a business perspective, that's something to be really, really conscious of. The award is great, but really asking yourself, well, what are we actually doing now? Behind that badge of honour or that award, that shiny award, what does it really look like in our business? Because that isn't an award-winning business when those kind of conversations and questions are being had.
What are your thoughts on kind of sponsors and companies that sponsor awards, and the kind of rationale for sponsoring particular awards?
Honest thoughts?
Yeah.
We're recruiters, right? We place 4 times more senior females at senior level, right, across the world. We see businesses that sponsor some of these awards, women's events, let's come away from ethnicity for a minute, women's events, for example, different events, just one, but don't partner with a supplier that specialises in making the impact that they're trying to impact.
Yes.
So is it performative? Sometimes. And I found that to be a personal frustration. I've got a real example in my mind of a company that sponsors a lot of different things, doing fantastic work. Don't get me wrong. I can see the awards are doing brilliant work. Don't take away from that, and I can see the passion. But really questioning what you're trying to do in the organisation is attract more different types of perspective and talent. And awards can do that to a degree, of course. There's an exposure there. Again, not taken away from it. But is that where you would put your resource? Because for me, that just looks like an external, but you really walking the walk. And I've seen that a lot. And that's a personal sort of frustration for me. So it doesn't, the 2 and 2 is not making 4.
Absolutely. And I guess the reason I asked it is because very recently I had a conversation with someone around, they work for quite a big organisation, and their feedback was that actually I love these awards and I can kind of get money for doing them, sponsoring them, buying tables, because it's an easier sell to the executive team to say, give me 10 grand to go out and celebrate and invite clients or invite team members at an award show than it is to say, let's come in and do the work. do the work that needs to be done to change the dynamic. And again, it's this tendency, I think, that companies have to do what's easy, and it's easy to write a check for 10 grand and say, right, sponsor this award, and our name is associated with that brand, associated with that event. We get all the kudos of being on the pictures, and thousands, if not millions, of hits on social media by association, implicitly sending that message that we support these communities, etc., etc. But you're never really looking behind the curtain to see what's going on within the organisation, and it can be a little bit disingenuous for people that are potentially looking to be recruited into those organisations to say there's a lot that they can talk about, but it's all quite superficial. And if you question it to say, okay, so what does that mean in practice? What does that mean for my experience coming into the organisation, or the experience of others that have been in the organisation for a really long time? What is that dynamic? Yeah,
I 100% agree. And it reminds me actually of speaking to a CEO of a very big business at one of these networking award events, and having literally this kind of conversation, and I could just see there was zero interest, to the point where I just thought, should I be offended? Like, she doesn't care at all. But she is standing there as a CEO, representing the business, that this been really key for them. And I thought, it's not. No, it's not. So it is. I will call you out. No.
Name and shame. Come on, let's get cancelled.
But seriously, and it was it's kind of disappointing. And yet I do also see the opposite of that. Of businesses that it's so key to. I work with some clients actually that are big energy businesses. They are really invested and really seriously and really from a passionate place want to make the right decisions and incredible impact. And I see it disseminated throughout their business. And on the top of that, they go for certain awards. That for me is the right way of doing it. Treating people amount of, treating people in a certain way, and then looking like this is not award winning for me.
Yes. So yeah, I guess in summary, what would your advice be to leaders when considering what awards to go for, sponsor? What would be your advice for people that either run awards businesses or are thinking about awards businesses? And then any other.
It's a lot of questions.
I know.
Hold on, there's 5 questions, right? So I think for businesses that are going forwards for awards, absolutely do that. Find the best in category for your business, and do that. However, ask yourself the question that is the action that's happening in the business award winning? And if it's not, then really need to be looking at those elements, and that should be the actual priority rather than the shiny award. That is the cherry on top. I think for individuals going forwards for award, I've seen a real personal impact there. I think, do your thing, go forwards for the awards, absolutely. Maybe scope out ones that feel most affiliated and most credible, because if you're associated with a certain awards that actually it can deem you to be credible or a bit uncredible sometimes as well, depending on industry and all of that kind of stuff. So look, honestly at the awards that are going to be the most, the best fitting, I guess, for you and the most credible for you. And I think for awards themselves, I I think continue the amazing work you're doing, because there is amazing work that's happening there. Judging processes in some cases I do think need to be stricter, more process, more quality orientated and quality checking orientated. There's a lot of effort that goes into individuals going forwards for awards and businesses. So I do definitely think that. I might come up with a couple more. What do you think?
Yeah, likewise. I think the challenge to leaders is really clear in terms of making sure that you genuinely believe that what you've done is award winning. I've seen as a judge far too many applications or nominations that for me feel like we want to be patted on the back for just following legislation. Like, we're not discriminating against people. It's like, cool, you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to. That's the whole point of the Equalities Act. But yeah, really challenging yourself to say, like, what is the underlying story that we're trying to tell? What is the purpose of the award? Like, why do you want this award? What role does it play in your existence, the story that you tell? Is it a case of we just want to silence some people, or we want to give a perception that we are inclusive when we're not actually? And it's a really tough one to I guess contend with as a business, to say, like, let's not go for this award, let's do the work and let's come back and reconsider.
Absolutely.
For individuals, similar to you, do your thing, shout it from the hilltops. My slight caveat is, and this is going to sound really weird, but it's like, do the work. And
for the individual? Yeah,
because I feel like sometimes I've seen, and it's kind of a similar dynamic to the company, sometimes I've seen people that are keener to get the award than they are to do the work.
I so agree with that.
And I think, again, that feels very disingenuous. It feels a little bit icky.
And what about for those that have awards, or they're wanting to set up awards, or they're thinking about that? There is a big, like you say, it's a big business at the end of the day, isn't it? We've seen it done amazingly. We've seen it done okay. There's a combination all in between, isn't there? Like most things.
I thought you were going to add another layer there to say we've seen it done disaster.
We've seen it done terribly. No, we haven't. But you've seen all sorts of different things, and I'm talking about industry as well as even kind of across regionally and things like that.
100%.
So
I think for them, I would always look at like this longevity and legacy piece to say, what is the story that we want people to tell about our awards 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now? And actually, I think generally as businesses, sometimes we don't spend enough time thinking about the 10, 20, 30 year story. And I think the same is true of awards business, to say, okay, how do we structure this in a way that it becomes meaningful, that it's something that we can look back on to say, everybody that has won our award for Rising Star has gone on to do amazing things and is absolutely killing it in their industry, rather than the counter narrative, which is people just got these awards and they scrolled off into the background. It's like, actually, that isn't, and for me, that doesn't feel like a great story to tell.
And is that, I totally hear you on that. And is that because we hear personal brand, personal brand, personal brand? For me, it feels like a buzzword. I'm like, oh my gosh, should I be featured in 10 different things? Quite honestly, I've spending so much time kind of on my business, my children, doing all the other stuff. I haven't really got time to try and work out where I should be featured all the time. Like, that's the truth.
100%.
Is there an element of personal brand, do you think, at play, and people feeling like they need to win 1 million awards to make them stand out? And let's be honest, it does at times, because we know certain individuals, probably together and separately, because they've won multiple awards that we may not have been privy to, really.
It's an amazing question. I think the whole personal brand dynamic is an interesting one.
Yeah.
Because actually I feel like doing the work should be a personal brand. And actually I think some people, there's a tendency in this generation to lean into the how it looks rather than the how it is. And I've fallen victim to that.
I was going to say that.
I've fallen victim to being out there and being at all the awards.
Oh no, I was going to say the opposite for you.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say, it's interesting you say that, but you do so much amazing work in your business and kind of in across different industries that would everyone know about if we didn't know you.
Yeah. And
sometimes and sometimes maybe not. I was going to
think
say the
it's
opposite,
a very
actually.
difficult balance sometimes.
Yeah.
Again, because I'm not that public. I'm a very private person.
Yeah.
Hugely introverted. And it's really weird as well. Whenever I see people out at these awards and things, people are like, you know, I can see you've been busy, your LinkedIn, etc., etc. I'm like, LinkedIn probably sees like 5% of what I do, like max. There's so much stuff that I do that just doesn't make it onto LinkedIn, and but it's interesting that the stuff that does is kind of what people talk about and remember. And it's kind
but does that then mean that we're not celebrating ourselves? For me, that's time, because I don't have enough time always to write a post, to do this, to do that. We talked about this at the start of the year. We're like, we're going to be our authentic selves. We're going to, we've done a bit of that.
For me, it's also energy as well. Like, again, there's probably an intersection there, but I feel like social media consumes a lot of energy for me.
It does.
And kind of bringing it back to the awards as well, like my award or reward is in the impact that we've had on other people's
100%.
stories. I've got no interest in standing on stage and taking pictures and receiving a placard.
Yeah.
It feels I'm a very private person, so it feels awkward for me. I feel like I'd just be so awkward receiving awards. You know, when I've had to do it historically, it's been like, honestly, I would rather not. And, you know, I've had in the last couple of months people asking whether they can nominate me for stuff.
And we're like this now.
No, please don't.
With our awards.
But I was like, no, please, like, respect. Like, I love that you want this for me, but thank you, but no thank you. Do you know what I mean? Again, my reward is in people telling stories about what they've been able to do, the opportunities that they've had. I'd much rather celebrate other people than celebrate myself. Yeah,
I actually agree with that. It is uncomfortable. I would actually agree. I think for the business, I feel differently, because I'm so proud. And I think I'm thinking of the team and, oh my gosh, and I know the impact. I think if it was just me on my own, I'm not sure how I'd feel about that, actually. You know, my voice just went up about 2 octaves. I'm not sure. So, but
it's
interesting.
A difficult one as well. I think that the people in our business, I mean, they can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't necessarily feel like many of them are that public or that way inclined.
No,
I genuinely think that nobody in my business has a desire to stand on stage and celebrate and do pictures and all of that. Like, I think they'd just rather be at home chilling. Maybe that's a sign that we're all a little bit similar in that regard.
Yeah. Any takeaways then?
For me, the takeaway is I think personally, to not get too carried away with awards and what they mean.
Yeah.
But the slight challenge to that is there's a lot of lives that need to be celebrated that potentially haven't been celebrated historically, and actually there is a space for doing it well and making sure that there's longevity.
Yeah, I think my takeaways, and I've kind of had these flashing images as you've been speaking of individuals that have had these amazing impacts on the back of it, or they've not won and yet been nominated, and they have been more driven to, that was us, you know, at one point as well, like being more driven to want to win it the next year and the next year. So
can I speak about that for a second as well? Because I think like there's this weird dynamic that I've witnessed where people have been nominated multiple times, and you know, I've sat next to some people that this is like their 3rd, 4th, 5th nomination and they've still not won, and it's like you can see the heartbreak on their face and it feels really awkward. It's like, okay, what would your advice be to them for somebody that's been nominated historically, not won, but then gone on to win?
My advice to the individual, honestly, I would say keep going. And you know what? It brings me back to The Apprentice, interestingly. And I just went for it one time, not trying to act like that. I went for it one time. But I realised when I was in the process that many people had gone many times, and that I realised that that's a whole thing. Most of the people that you would watch, not saying you watch The Apprentice, I don't even watch The Apprentice really, just till the end bits now. But like, they've gone forwards for it multiple times before going on it, the vast majority of them. And that was really interesting for me, because I just thought, you either get it or you don't get it. And it kind of taught me a lesson, I think, in that, number one, there's a real kind of will, you know, that some people have. They've got their eye on that prize. Either the competition that year was different, let's be honest, you know, or they got better. They got better. But what they did is they had this resilience. They're like, I want to do it and I want to do it. And it meant so much to them. And it's changed some people's lives significantly. So if they hadn't kept going back and doing it, would they have had that impact? I mean, you both know, right? There's businesses, we fail at businesses. We have elements of our businesses that have failed. We quickly pick up, we crack on, we work out a solution and we go again. That's what makes us founders and entrepreneurs. That's what makes people that are high performing and successful. They have that resilience. So actually, I personally really respect that. It's unfortunate if it's year after year after year. I guess there's a point you have to question yourself, but maybe that's what's needed to up your levels or to grow from it. I respect it. And I would say to that individual that hasn't won year on year but has got nominated, then reflect on what you can do better, what your competition did to win, and up your game. You know, up your game.
Amazing. Final thoughts from you?
Final thoughts from me. Final thoughts are that awards, I think, are needed, and I think there's many more benefits that outweigh any negativity around awards. But that said, I think that you want to be winning something because it is reflective of what you've done and it has the credibility that you would want to have as an individual and or as a business. Side note though, for people that are involved in awards or get nominated and don't win, just being nominated and being in rooms with amazing people is an amazing networking opportunity. A lot of those awards are what has brought me personally, maybe you too, a lot of the contacts and a lot of the network that I actually have today, which I did not expect would come from some awards.
Amazing.
You're award winning, you are, man. So cheesy, I can't help it.
multi.
You are multi-award winner. I really enjoyed that.
Same.
I thought that was so interesting, even if me and you just like it.